started.
All right, sounds
So
good.
first things first, I'm going to have you introduce yourself and your creative career.
Okay. Hello, world. I am Rodney Swanstorm, coming to Earth in 1961, August 25th, 1961. You do the math, okay? And I came to Earth, I think, as an artist. Actually, I think that was my soul being for being here. And so since I made it through the public education system with art as my saving grace, and then went on to art school and continued on from there as a freelance illustrator and worked for a design firm as a freelance illustrator. And it made me sure that I didn't want to be an illustrator. And so I kept having this vision. The thing I say most about my artistic career is I had this spirit within me that was like telling me to go. I was living in Iowa at the time, right? And I had this spirit and these dreams at night that were telling me to go to the big city, and I had these like fire escape and shadows and windows and things that were kind of telling me to go beyond, right? So I packed my backpack and my sleeping bag and went for a journey out in the Iowa cornfields and came back with, I got to go to New York. People were like, oh, that's great. You got a job in New York. That's fantastic. That's so great. And what are you going to be doing? I said, no, I don't have a job. I just got to go to New York. So I bought a one-way ticket to New York City. And on the third day I was there, I met a person who was what I call my art soul mother. She was an artist, a painter that was looking. She had shown me the written documents stating that she was like asking for a young, helpful artist to kind of help her create these big paintings that she worked with. And I was a lucky recipient. We lived and worked together in New York's Chelsea district back in the late 80s, early 90s. And Ruth Kligman since has passed, but her legacy lives on. She was Jackson Pollock's mistress back in the day. And so when I was living and working at the studio, I'd have people like Jasper Johns call, and Willem Dafoe stopped over because he wanted to play the role of Jackson Pollock, and she had written the book. And so it was really an experience, so it kind of transformed my commercial art into more of a fine art, kind of more self-explorative vision. And through that, I had interest in architecture early on. And when I was living in the back of that New York studio, there was a beautiful skylight in the roof of this studio that I lived in Chelsea. And that kind of came into my sketchbook, which then came into, I'd break my paintings up with that. I considered myself a painter at that time. And we have a nose being blown over here quite loudly. Thank you very much. Can you blow it a little bit louder so we can get some horn honks? Oh, thank you. I have a sick boy at home today. Anyway, so I got my New York fine art experience working with the mentor Ruth Kligman, and took that to Minneapolis. And in Minneapolis was a great place that did a lot of foundation support, individual support for artists to explore and to venture out. And it was a great place for me to be. And from there, I moved to Chicago and worked with various nonprofit and profit groups, museums, helping out other artists, and the museum itself, and got great hands-on with how to handle art and how art is kind of tallied, on that blue chip level. So it was really a part of my education. And so then I went to Europe for 4 years and lived in Germany, and was working with a nonprofit group over there with these crazy German kids who were just kind of doing this crazy stuff. And I was just on the ship, as a shipmate, having a great time. And been in Boulder now for 10 years and been kind of doing my thing in Boulder. I've shown at the Dairy, I've shown at the MCA, I've shown at various galleries around town, as well as kind of doing my sales out of the studio. So kind of living the dream, and have raising 2 boys and happily married. Get in the mountains, daily to kind of go for a walk and get all this fresh air. What used to be fresh air now is smoke-filled air. But love living in Colorado. I grew up in Wyoming, so it kind of feels more like the beginning.
Wonderful. What an interesting story.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how has COVID-19 affected your life and livelihood?
Oh my gosh. The livelihood part hasn't really affected me that much. Because I'm independent. I do my art. I also do odd-end jobs. As a small contractor builder, able to do that. And a lot of people are looking for just people who are, a lot of it's neighborhood jobs that I do. My main job is to take care of the boys, and so it's affected me that way because we are, and my wife, we are around each other. We have been around each other. My wife's a teacher, so we've been around each other 24/7 since this thing happened. And I have to, how Jimmy Fallon has his thank you notes, right? Right? Jimmy Fallon does his thank you notes. So I have to do that. Thank you, COVID, for getting the family together and having a good time all summer long. Thank you, COVID, for allowing me to be part of the neighborhood COVID project here in Boulder. There's been a lot of really great things that have come out of it for me. I think for a lot of people, it's been an inconvenience, but I think when we look back on it, in even 5 or 10 years, people will go, that was really a great time that we got to spend together. As long as someone that you love or know doesn't get sick, that changes the equation completely. But because we've all been healthy and all the family members that we know have been healthy, it hasn't really affected us adversely. So it's been a challenge, as it has been for most people. But we as humans are highly adaptable, and think we as a family think it's made our lives a little bit more intertwined, I guess, right? A little more. We're thankful for the simple things in life, it seems.
Yeah, wonderful. That's a very warm response to that question. Usually it's
Okay.
not so.
Right. Yeah. A lot of
um
people sure don't have that feeling about it.
yeah, but that's a great thing to hear. Um but you've obviously been awarded a COVID-19 work project stipend. Would you mind just briefly telling me about your project and how it can promote connectivity in your neighborhood?
Yeah, absolutely. My project had been kind of in the wait, actually. It was perfect timing because I had built this little free library in our neighborhood, which is up in the upper university area off of Chautauqua. So my wife's grandparents built this house in the 50s, and that's the only reason we're able to live here. But it was an offering to the community back 5 or 6 years ago when I built this little free library, and the intent was to have a gallery space above it also, right? So it's a little free library slash gallery. And I hadn't really activated. A few of the neighborhood kids have put some work in there, and we've kind of thrown a few things in there, but it hadn't really been uh, what I call to full capacity, right? And when this opportunity came up, I thought, well, here it is. Here's my chance to really focus in, clean it up, put a new coat of varnish on the little free library and clean out the upper region of this little free library that has a skylight viewing portal. So you can look down in on it, or you can look in on the side. Have you seen it? Okay, you haven't seen it. So if you're out and about up at Chautauqua, come off of 6, just a block to Cascade, go left, and then take another left on Willowbrook. And it's this, independent, freestanding little free library that has a gallery space in the top. So I figured this would be a perfect time for me to install this art installation up in this upper area of the little free library because, galleries are closed, museums are closed, all the cultural establishments have been shut down for this COVID thing. And I know that I've gotten a few responses from people that are like, oh yeah, that was so great to see someone's art outside of the normal museum or gallery, just, out in the neighborhood 24/7. And, I feel like it's really been beneficial to the neighbors, to the community. So happy that the COVID grant kind of pushed me over the edge to get it completed. Thank you.
Yeah, great to hear that. That's such a wonderful project. So finally, is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I just I would like to invite people to stop by, like I said, the Little Free Library / gallery and check out the skylight installation there. It's on the website. The map is on the website under Rodney Swanstrom, and stop by, check it out. Leave a post-it note or something that says you've been there, and any responses on. I need to get. Oh, Theo, can you turn the light switch on there, buddy? Hang on a second. I just noticed my battery was getting low there, and I had to kind of plug it in. So yeah, stop by and check out the Little Free Library, and leave a note somehow through social media or whatever. That'd be great.
Awesome. That's perfect.